Hello and welcome to April forecast for business owners and entrepreneurs with me, Kim O'Rourke. And as normal with my astrology forecasts and insights, this is being recorded for YouTube. So hello to everybody watching on YouTube. And if you prefer to listen on the go, the audio version is being put onto my podcast as well, so you can listen to there if you prefer, and that podcast is called Climbing to the Top. So I will put the link to the podcast just below this YouTube video, and if you're listening on the podcast and you want to watch me on video, then I will put the link to the YouTube video in the show notes for you. So what have we got coming up this month? We start with the sun in Aries in April. We've got quite a lot going on this month, and a bit of a job for you to do, actually. So we've got our sun starting off in Aries, and Aries is adventurous, it's energetic, it's pioneering, it's assertive, it's confident, and we start with this energy going on with the sun. And in fact, we start right on the 1st, so Friday the 1st of April, we start with as the sun and the Venus, which are together in the sign of Aries. And what that says is that this is a really good time for finances, for creativity, for love as well, but this is a business forecast. And with that sun and Venus energy, it is also in a nice easy aspect to Mars and a nice easy aspect to Saturn. So when we put all this together, we start the month with really good time for financial opportunities. Our energy is high as well. And it's a really good time for our work, for expressing ourselves, but expressing ourselves boldly. This Aries energy is not time to be hiding and keeping yourself down. This is a time for it really expressing yourself. Be bold, be creative, get yourself out there, get those ideas going. And if we can tie all this together, if we can utilize this time for coming up with these creative ideas, to think of ways that we can express ourselves, get yourself out there, definitely get yourself out there. If you haven't gone on video before, go out and do video. This is about being bold with your ideas and being bold with expressing yourself, expressing your business, taking your business message out into the world, into the marketplace. And this then creates opportunities in and of itself, but it's a good time for finances just generally, and a good time for financial opportunities. So use this energy in your favor. Even though we're kind of coming over an Easter weekend, you've got some time to come up with ideas, because we haven't got the day-to-day emails and phone calls and texts that are flying at us from every angle. We can utilize that downtime a bit to allow our brain to get more creative. So have some fun, try some things that you haven't tried before, try some new things. So I say, be bold, try the stuff that you haven't tried before. With the energy to Saturn, this is also saying to you, it's a really good time to put your financial house in order. Now, in the UK, we're coming up to the end of a financial year, so this would be an excellent time to get all that bookkeeping up to date, all your finances up to date, all those piles of receipts and invoices that you've got stacking up on your desk. Yeah, I know. To get all those filed, put away, get some structures in place, up to date, update your spreadsheets. This is a really lovely time. Saturn would really want you to do that, and I was trying to say really love and really want at the same time, and that didn't come out very well. So Saturn will love you to do that. So put your financial affairs in order. And this is because we've got the Venus in a nice aspect to Saturn. So this is why it's talking about good structure. Put your financial affairs. Venus rules love, but it also rules your money side. So it's a really good time to utilize all of this. And I would say as well, given that we are at an Easter weekend and we've got a couple of bank holidays, if you've got a bit of time, look at your own personal savings and investment and see what's going on there, and see what other opportunities that you can invest in. What is there out there that you could increase the return that you get on your savings and investments? Is there anywhere else that might be better for you to invest? I'm not a financial consultant at all. Always take advice, but it would be a good time to have a look at that, to see what's going on in your savings and investment world. And we've got this energy around really over the beginning of April, for the first few days of April. And we've got a beautiful Mars coming into a lovely trine with Jupiter on the 2nd, which is a great energy for any activity, but including our work as well. So we've got this amazing first few days of April. It's really good for our work. Our energy is high. Our creative ideas would be high. We can get some downtime and rest, which will also help boost our creative energy. I always think that if you can take some time out, you don't have to work to have ideas. You do not have to be sat at your desk. You can be going out for a walk, or sat with your feet up, and that lets your brain get more creative. But with this energy on the 2nd, which is on Saturday, with this Mars and Jupiter, when it is a good time for activity. And Mars kind of likes being outside. So go outside, get some fresh air, get some exercise. Although I don't think the weather's going to be great in the UK this weekend. For my US listeners and watchers, I don't know what the weather's going to be like for you. But if the weather is the right way inclined, go out and get some fresh air and sunshine. Mars likes that activity. And I think that will then help stimulate your creative ideas. But that aside, it is a good time. Your energy will be high. It is a good time for work. And actually, this Mars-Jupiter energy stays with us until the end of the month. So we can utilize that energy as the energy shifts throughout the month. Now, also on the 5th, so where are we? We've got 2nd, 3rd, so it's early next week, early the first week in April. We've got just a day on the 5th. We've got a moon and Pluto are coming together, and so you could get a day of quite intense emotions. So you might want to be watching that, because our emotions can really play a part in our business, and we might get upset. Or something might upset us far more than it would ordinarily. So just watch out for that. It'll pass through. The moon passes pretty quickly. So you've only got like a day or so of that. And it's just on the 5th that we get that close conjunction where the two are sitting next to one another. So just watch out for that. And if you've got anything coming into your email or over text that is just making you feel suddenly really angry or really intense emotion, just don't respond on that day. Just let it go and respond to it in a couple of days later when that feeling has passed. And in fact, what we've also got on the 5th is Mars and Neptune are making a square to each other. And normally that's quite a challenging time. So it depends which way you look at it, because Neptune can temporarily lower your energy levels because Mars is your energy. So Neptune is kind of a dreamy, relaxed energy about it. So if you're wanting to utilize all that Martian energy, that isn't necessarily a good day to do it. However, utilize it in another way, because if you put these two in a positive light, and for every challenge, there's also an opportunity, it's a good time to meditate. The Neptune is, the subconscious and using our mind. So take the time to meditate, to take time out to dream if you can. And because Mars is about activity and the things that we're going towards, it will be a good time to use that meditation to perhaps reassess your goals and what is it that you want to do this year. And it depends when your financial year is. But if your financial year starts or sort of ends in March and then starts in April, it's an excellent time to say, well, okay, I've got my year's goals that I set in December, or over the Christmas holidays, for January through to December. But could I have a reassessment? How are they going? And in fact, it doesn't matter when your financial year is. Take a little bit of time and look at where your goals are, and the 5th is an excellent time to do that. You've got the energy working in your favor. If you can take a bit of time out, do a bit of meditation, a bit of stillness time, let that activity level drop slightly, so you can say, okay, well, I'm going to take some time out, look at my goals. Am I still in alignment with them? Are they still right? Am I going towards the right goals? Have I gone off kilter? Because we do that. So is it a time to pull yourself back, reassess where you are, and then you can plan and move ahead for the next quarter? And if we start tying this in with the fact that over this first few days of the month is a really good time for coming up with creative ideas and looking at how we can express ourselves and get ourselves far more out there into our world, this would seem a really good energy as well, to just have that reassessment. And what else do I need to do? How can I get myself out there in a different way? Am I saying the right things? Am I giving the right message out as well? And how can I be bolder about that? So, so that's just the first few days of the month. Are you exhausted already? Before I get on to what's happening over the rest of the month, what I also wanted to talk about is just generally, we've got 3 major planets sitting in some pretty hefty signs. So we've got, which are affecting all of us. So we've got Jupiter, which is currently sitting in Aquarius. We've got Uranus, which is currently sitting in Taurus, and we've got Pluto, which is still sitting in Capricorn and will be sitting there for quite some time. In fact, I think it's to 2024. It's January 2024, it moves out of Capricorn. So if you've seen my recordings about last year, you'll know that there was this stellium that we had last year, this Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto stellium. That's when the planets are really close together. So a conjunction is when you've got 2 planets next to each other, and a stellium is when you've got 3 or more planets next to each other. So most of last year we had a Jupiter and we had Saturn, we had Pluto all sitting next to each other in a stellium, and that was basically showing everything that was going on with COVID and the breakdown of our structures, transforming our society, transforming everything that we knew, transforming how we worked, just everything was going on. But as we got to the end of this year, they all started separating, and sort of all us astrologers were going, oh, thank God for that. And I think probably you have noticed a shift and a change in the energy as we've come into this year. Okay, we're still in lockdown, but we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And we've got Uranus energy this year, which is fantastic. And I said in my forecast at the end of last year that we will see leaps and bounds in technology and science this year, because we have got Saturn in Aquarius as well. We've got Jupiter in Aquarius, we've got Saturn in Aquarius, all this Uranian energy. We will see these leaps and bounds in our technology and science, and we're already starting to see it. It comes through on the news. But there's some other things that I just want to talk about which are current in the news at the moment, because we've got Jupiter in Aquarius. Jupiter in Aquarius is quite a humanitarian place for Jupiter to be. It's quite revolutionary as well, but it wants fairness and it wants justness. It's quite socially aware. So we've got that kind of energy going on. And then if we start combining it with Uranus, now Uranus rules Aquarius, so we've got the same energy going on, but now we've got Uranus in the earthy sign of Taurus. Now Taurus and Uranus, or Taurus and Aquarius, the 2 signs, don't really get on very well necessarily. They're a bit at loggerheads, because Taurus likes stability. It's It's a patient, steadfast, stable sign. But Uranus, Aquarius, likes change, and it likes to get out there, and it's exciting. And what big changes can I make today? And the Taurian energy doesn't like that at all. Taurian energy likes, I want to be safe and secure, and I just want to stay on this line. So when Uranus is sitting in Taurus, it's like, whoa, we don't like this going on. So we've got big changes going on. Now, what's interesting about this is that we've got changes that can go on. Again, Taurus is ruled by Venus, so we've got money and love. So and this is on a kind of greater scale, on a world scale. So just have a look to see what changes that we see in our financial world. And we're not going to see love on a major scale. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll see that people are loving each other more. But Taurus is a feminine sign, and Uranus is pretty disruptive, and as I said, likes the big changes. And I'm just thinking, we've got this combination of this disruptive energy in a feminine sign with Jupiter also kicking around in Aquarius. I'm sure Jupiter won't like me saying that it's kicking around, but anyway, we've got Jupiter in Aquarius. So we've got this revolutionary message, wanting fairness and justice, with disruption in the feminine sign of Taurus. And what we're just seeing over the last 2 or 3 weeks, which has been started by or kicked off by the very unfortunate murder of Sarah Everard. And then that started opening up the conversation and some anger about how women are not safe on the streets. And I guess that's the same all around the world, how women have been basically treated unjustly so far and been sexually abused. Now, whether that is on kind of a major level or a more subtle, insidious level, like somebody coming up to you a bit too closely on the tube, this imbalance between male and female, that's been so endemic for so long. I think we're going to start to see the changes in that, and we're going to see this this call for women need to be on an equal footing to men. I mean, really generally on an equal footing to men. And I said this in a podcast that I recorded a couple of weeks ago, asking whether business needs to change for female entrepreneurs. And it's a subject that's quite close to my heart. And I'm not going to repeat the whole lot here because this is not what this is about. And I'll put the links in so that you can refer to those. But I think for so long, the business world has been tailored around men, just because that has been the way it is. Men have historically been the leaders in business. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that is. And women now, in the last few decades, we've really come up and said, well, we can run businesses just as successfully. We have a place in society too, at an equal level to men. So this is what has now been coming to the surface, and what I was trying to say in my podcast, that men and women are different. And I don't think we should pretend that we're the same, because we're not. We have different, different pressures, different types of emotions, different hormones going through. And I think we should celebrate those differences and work out how we can work together, not separately. So I think this energy is going to be, I mean, the whole of the energy at the moment, which started last year with this Pluto energy. Now, Pluto brings major changes, major structural changes, changes to our rules and our regulations and everything that we thought was normal. And well, that's just the way our structure is. That's the way our life leads. Pluto's come along and said, no, not anymore, folks. We're going to dig it all out, dig all that horrible, messy, muddy, cruddy stuff out from underneath the earth, everything that's been hidden and just hidden. We're going to dig it out. So always think, when Pluto's involved, always think volcano, because everything that's been bubbling under the surface for a long time will bubble up and explode. And that's what was happening last year with Pluto. But we've got Pluto around for quite a while, for the good next 3 years. So we're going to see a lot of these changes going on, a lot of this. We as people do not want to be living in an unfair, unjust society. So whether it's Black Lives Matter, or whether it's the endemic sexual abuse and unfair treatments of women, and all of this stuff, and I'm sure there'll be other groups in our society that will come to the surface. And we need to address this. So I'm just saying, there's all this energy going on. I think it's a good thing that we need this, all this nasty stuff to come to the surface. We need to talk about it. We need to start changing it. And when it's out into the air, it can change and we can do something about it. But the fact is, it's been buried for too long. And us as a race, and sections of society do not want that hidden anymore, quite rightly. So we need this time to let all this stuff come to the surface, and so it can clear, but we will find new ways, new fair ways, new just ways of bringing new structures into society. So it's going to change. So what life was like before 2020 is not going to be what life is like from this year onwards. We will keep seeing changes all the way through. We will expect new things. We were even like the workplace. Look at how the workplace has changed just over the last year. Whereas before, big business said, oh no, you couldn't possibly work from home. You couldn't possibly do flexi time. How can you work from home? That's just impossible. Well, of course, last year, we've proved that impossible was actually possible. And that's Uranian energy as well. We had Saturn making all those changes. We had Uranus saying, coming into the fore, saying, well, actually, these changes are possible. That's this year's energy. Because after Saturn is going to come Uranus. That's just the way it goes. Or after Capricorn comes Aquarius. So we've had the breakdown of structures. We've got new ways of being coming in, and quite big leaps, quite revolutionary ways of being. But it will end up fair and just and right for us. We want truth. So already this year, and we're only 3 months through the year, already I have seen lies being exposed. People have said things and lies are exposed, or there are just lies and untruths. People are demanding the truth, and that is going to carry on. So we've got all of that bundled up together. So big changes, moving towards a more truthful, fairer society. But in order to do that, there's going to be eruptions along the way. Oh, and I wouldn't not expect, if that's the right English, when Uranus is involved and it's in an earth sign as well, there may well be earthquakes around, possibly. It'll be interesting to see. So let's get back to business then. So of course we have got, where are we up to? 6. So there's nothing major going on. We've got a new moon in Aries on the 12th. So I like to see that as just the start of the astrological new year, if we like. And that moon joins the sun and the Mercury and Venus. And just at that time, all around those few days, that's sort of the 10th, the 12th, when the new moon is, the 15th, Venus then moves into Taurus. And then we start getting all the energy shifts. So from the 20th then, so it's all a bit quiet for a little while. And then on apart from all those big planetary changes I was just speaking about, they're quite major. So on the 20th, that's when the sun moves into Taurus, and we get a real shift, change, because whereas Aries is assertive and it's confident and it's out there and it's pioneering and it's energetic and it's active, Taurus isn't. Taurus is a feminine sign. It's stable, it's reliable, it's patient, stubborn, it's quite determined. So, and it's an earth sign. So it shifts from this fire energy to this earth energy. And actually we have then the sun and Mercury come together into Venus, into Taurus on that 20th, and then almost makes an immediate square to the moon. And then we have what's called a T-square, which is literally, it just looks like a T where you've got planets at the points of those. And they form a T-square with Pluto, which is not great. So when the sun and the Mercury come together, that's a brilliant time. If you're thinking of starting a new business, that's a great time to do it. However, I would hold fire, because where we've got this T-square with moon and the Pluto, we've now got a load of tense emotions. And if you've got employees, by the way, they might play up, because that can be people just having adversity to authority or to those in charge, not liking what you're saying. So I'd let that energy change. As I said, the moon goes through quite quickly, so you only need to wait a couple of days for that. But we've got, with this moon in opposition to Pluto, so when we have opposition, we always are going to have conflicts. So you've got emotional conflicts going on. And because there is Chiron involved, Chiron is the wounded healer. And what's coming to my mind is that old wounds are going to come to the surface. So maybe somebody says something and it prompts, we get a trigger, and it just maybe somebody says something they're not really aware, but it triggers something in us, and that could cause a big emotional conflict with us or a turmoil with us, and suddenly bring up stuff that we weren't quite expecting to come up. And that's this Pluto energy, that it brings stuff up that have been hidden down. And we're all very good at hiding our emotions and hiding those old wounds and old conflicts. But that time around the 20th, you might find that some of that comes to the surface, and then that can cause arguments. It can cause stubbornness. You're suddenly at loggerheads with your partners, either business partners or your romantic partner, and you can end up in arguments where you've got this emotional side and fighting against the logical side, where we've got Mercury is logic and we've got the moon is emotions, and emotions and logic don't go well together. If they're in conflict, it's that they're never going to see eye to eye. So you need to wait for that energy to pass, which it will do after a couple of days. So just let that energy through. So if you are thinking that the 20th is a great time to start a new business, I would wait until it's all passed. In fact, I'll probably wait a good couple of weeks actually to the new moon, but at the very least wait until after the 23rd. Let this tense stuff pass through. So 23rd, then we've got a whole load of stuff coming together, and we've now got a really lovely positive energy. We've got the sun, we've got Mercury, we've got Venus, and we've got Uranus now all coming together in this stellium. So we've got 4 planets all close together in Taurus. In fact, Venus and Uranus are exactly together. And what all this means is that for you in your business, it's an excellent time again for getting any paperwork sorted out, financial paperwork. And it's a really good time for communication. So again, if you can get your communication out there, get your communication strategy in place. This is Taurian energy, your structure in place. If you can plan your social media, that would be an excellent time to do it. We can use the structured time of the Taurian earthy energy, and we can use which likes all that kind of stable time, and Mercury, which is your communication and social media. So excellent time for that. Excellent time just for paperwork generally, but also look at, again, making plans. Go for big leaps. So if you're looking at your social media plans, for example, let's just say you've been trickling along with a post a day and one post a day, which, you know, can be fine. You want consistency with your social media. So Taurus wants consistency. So put your plans in place for consistent social media. But because we've got this Uranus energy hanging around, we can say, well, okay, well, actually, I'll make a big leap. What else can I do with my social media? What happens if I go out for 3 posts a day? What happens if I put, you know, a good 20% of my posts are sales posts? And that your balance of your social media should be about 80% information, value, so on, and about 20% sales. But if you're not doing that so far, this is the time to get your social media plans in order, so you can say, I'm upping the ante, I'm making a big leap, and I'm going to put my sales post in there. Let's do a bit of a radical change for how I am at the moment. If you're already doing that, again, look at what radical big leap you can take. Could you utilize advertising online, for example? Use this nice Mercury energy that we've got going on. Could you set up a podcast if you haven't done that already? Look at the leaps that you can take. What's the next level? How can I plan my marketing to its next stage? So that's a really good time to be doing that. And so that's around the 23rd. And then when we get to where are we? We've got the 25th, 26th. We've got a nice, easy grand trines. That's where it's a big triangle in the chart, and that's full of air energy. So there's lots of thinking, ideas, good energy. Again, getting planning into what you do. So utilize that energy as well. We've still got our Mars Jupiter going on to give us our energy and our good, really strong work ethic. And then we finish the month. So we've got all that nice few days of good energy. So utilize all of that. And then we finish the month, or sort of the big change at the end of the month. On the 27th, we've got a full moon in Scorpio, and that's going to be pretty intense. And I will do a recording for that as we come up to that. So Scorpio is always going to be intense. It is ruled by Pluto. So of course, there's going to be intense transformations and so on. And, you know, if we think about, we've come into the first month of the astrological year. Astrology, or the astrological year, starts with Aries, which is in April. So we've got that sort of beginning of the year, and that Scorpio, or that full moon in Scorpio, is intense, but it demands transformation as well. But it's got a bit of a message here, because just on the 27th, when we've got this full moon, it's going to be quite a full-on day. It's also my son's 18th birthday on that day. So we'll be seeing how that goes. And he's Taurus, obviously. So this would be quite an interesting day. Now, what we've got going on that day, we've got another one of those T squares. Do you remember they form a T shape? And we've got Uranus in Taurus at the top of it. We've got the moon in Scorpio at the bottom. And on the arm sticking out, we've got Saturn in Aquarius. Now, when we've got all of that going on, we've got a few things in there. So the moon and the Saturn together could mean that, well, first of all, the moon in Aquarius, you've got an impulsive emotions, and I would always say in business, don't act on an impulsive emotional urge. That's never a great thing. Just wait till it's settled down again. But the Saturn there, the moon in Scorpio, we've got the Saturn in Aquarius, not moon in Aquarius, sorry. We've got moon in Scorpio, which is a deep sign. We've got the Saturn in Aquarius, and those two together is our impulsive emotions. But the Saturn there is And a Saturn in the square aspect to the moon could mean some depression, but just for that day. So you could feel really down for that day. So if you're feeling down for that day and quite depressed, don't emotionally react. Don't just emotionally act on impulse because you're feeling depressed and down. Don't put yourself down either. And just, I would just say, watch out for negative feelings. And if you have negative feelings, do not react to them. Just acknowledge them and know that they're going to pass, because they will. And one of the things I think that may be causing that is that we've got on the other side of the T-square, we've got Uranus. So we've got a lot of this Uranus Earth energy fighting against each other. So we've got Uranus squaring the Saturn. So we've got Uranus in Taurus. So Uranus is in its Earth sign. We've got Saturn, which is an Earth planet, in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus. So we've got those two again at loggerheads to each other, and we've got the freedom of Uranus. So it wants to be free. It's sitting in Taurus, which doesn't really want to be free. And that's in a difficult aspect to Saturn. And Saturn loves its rigidity and likes being stable and sitting there, but that's in Aquarius, which is kind of fighting against it. So we've got this thing going on of freedom versus rigidity. And when we've got those two, that can lead to tension. And we can then get changes in our structures of our life. And there will be sudden changes. We won't expect them. So this is the sort of the key message, I would say, of any Uranian energy, is they can be big changes and unexpected changes. So the day before, you may not see it coming, and then it will suddenly change on the 27th. I'm not going to say this is going to happen with everybody at all. I'm just saying watch out for that energy. But that change, those changes, if you get the sudden changes, that's when you can upset the apple cart emotionally. It can make you depressed. And that's when you can get your emotional reaction. You'd want to just act impulsively. Impulsive is Uranian energy. The moon is the emotions. So you've got all these three things working together. So they could be very negative. However, on the positive side, actually that Saturn and Uranus energy together could lead to you saying, well, actually, I'm going to use this day to clear out those structures I don't need in my life. What is it? Anything that's structure or rules or regulations or the stuff that we feel that we have to do, what can you get rid of? Do you need to change your bank account? Is your bank account changed its rules that you don't like, or suddenly put on fees that you don't like? That's kind of Uranus Saturn energy. So banks are always going to be Saturn. And Uranus are the changes, but you say, well, actually, I don't like what my bank's done. I'm going to change it. So you can be in charge of the change. And if you're driving it and being in charge of it, then it's just not going to have those negative effects on you. So are there things in your life, and this is probably what you want to be looking at as we get to the end of April, what are the things in your business world, in your financial world as well, that are causing you some issues, that are causing you some tension internally, that you can then say, I'm going to change those, and I'll change those to something that I feel is fairer to me and much better for me. And that will be utilizing that Uranian energy in a really good way, because Uranus likes its changes, but it's a very just sign. It's a very fair sign as well. So use it, if you can, to your favor in that time. So that is it. So we've got quite a few things going on this month. That's a lot of, I guess, planning, but the overall message I would say is get yourself out there, use the energy to, especially at the beginning of the month, to really get yourself out there, see how you can express yourself far more, look for opportunities, because those opportunities, as Taurus comes in, we can settle those down and we can make plans, we can look at how our goals are going and so on. So, great month, lots of good messages, lots of messages to, as kind of warnings, just things to watch out for. And I think that is, I was just looking at my notes, I think that is it for April. So I will see you on the next video and podcast. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.